Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where we are providing you with financial aid resources, information on colleges and universities, skilled trade professions, employment opportunities, skill trade, skill readiness skills, all the career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Tony Curitin, your host, and today we are with the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union in our financial literacy series. And today we are going to be talking about understanding credit cards. Colleen, we're so glad to have you back.
Hi, good afternoon. Last time I was here, or last time we spoke, we talked about debit cards and I talked about checking accounts and how credit cards are very different than debit cards. So today we're looking at comparing those cards, comparing a debit card, a credit card, a prepaid card, and what purpose they each serve. So as usual, I have a nice little video to share. It's an example of making the choice of which card to choose, and we will go over more after.
Your total comes to $22.38.
Okay.
And how will you be paying for that today?
Well, isn't it obvious? Shh, she can make her own decision.
Who said that?
Hello! I can handle this purchase. Easy peasy. That's what debit cards do.
Do you remember how awesome my rewards program is, though? Swipe me. We got this.
I think what these two meant to say is that you want to use me. Prepaid debit. I mean, look at my logo. Just like a credit card. Cool, right?
Please, you're nothing like me. I'm the only one here who can help build credit. You have literally zero effect on a credit score.
But I don't need a whole special approval process. I'm accessible. Anyone can own me. I'm pretty accessible too, and I tend to have less fees than you do, prepaid debit. Oh yeah? Name one. Activation fee. Sometimes.
Transaction fees.
Not always. Reload fees. Well,
Maintenance fees.
I said one. At least I don't have to worry about crazy interest rates or overdraft fees.
I do charge interest on balances, but that's the trade-off for a generous credit limit. You're limited to the amount loaded onto you, and you're limited to how much is in your checking account.
Right. That's why people who hang out with you too much get into tons of debt. And every day it sounds like there's a headline about a new credit card data breach.
Don't give me that attitude. Debit and I are protected by federal law to minimize liability caused by that kind of stuff. If you get lost or stolen, you're out of luck most of the time.
You're just jealous because everyone thinks I'm cool and you can't handle it.
How dare you challenge me, you good-for-nothing piece of plastic.
Don't checking and savings accounts mean anything to
Guys.
anybody anymore?
Guys! Let's be cool. Can you just try and say something nice about each other? Come on. I know you can do it.
Well, credit does have cool rewards. And if you're smart about it and don't carry a balance, she can be pretty great.
And I guess prepaid debit can come in handy, like if you're traveling.
You can use it in lots of different places.
And if it gets lost or stolen, it can't be used to access your account.
And debit, like, I totally admire your affordability.
And you can be used to take out cash from ATMs all over the world.
You kind of rock at managing money, I must say.
See, was that so difficult?
I guess not. But getting back to your purchase, how are you going to pay?
Yeah, Jen. Who are you gonna choose? Please, pick me.
Who's it gonna be?
Pick me.
Oh, I'm just gonna pay with cash this time.
Really? No
You
way.
can't do that. Kidding me.
Hey, guys! What about me?
Who are you?
I'm an old gift card with 12 cents left on it. I'll show myself out.
All right, so very cute. Okay, perfect. So comparing cards. Every payment has pros and cons. We buy needs, wants, fun items, necessities, large items, small, expensive, cheap. Each payment has a purpose, right? So when and how you use each type of card has a huge impact. Debit cards and credit cards are not interchangeable. A prepaid card is not interchangeable with any of them. So you really want to understand what the difference is. So meeting your cards. I have to say, there's a graph I'm going to show you that's a little clearer than some of the descriptions here. But we're going to look at separately the debit card, the credit card, and the prepaid card. And remember, like I showed you last time, they look really similar. You know, as you mentioned, oh, I look like a credit card as a prepaid debit. They all really look similar. That word debit will be listed right here on a debit card, and that's really the only way to tell the difference. Oh, good grief. Let's not have it do that big. The access to the funds. How do you get them? How do you get the money, right? You certainly want to be able to have access. You know, having a piggy bank at home is great, but it doesn't help you when you've left the house, right? So the debit card is great because you don't have to carry any cash on you, but you have access to all of the funds that are in your checking account. You can spend those funds. You can go to an ATM and pull funds out, not all of them necessarily, there's a limit, but it's right there. It's what they call a liquid asset. You can get it very easily. A credit card has a spending limit, but I wouldn't call that access to funds. When I think of getting access to funds, I think of, you know, getting cash in hand, and I would definitely use my debit card for that. There's ways you can do that, put your credit card in an ATM and get some cash, but I don't recommend it. It's expensive. We're going to talk about it under fees. So we're really only thinking of it for purchases. And when we're talking about a prepaid card, there kind of is no cash attached to it. It's a preloaded card, like a gift card. We get, you know, Visa gift cards for presents when someone doesn't know, you know, what store or what restaurant to get a gift certificate to. So it's basically like handing someone a $50 bill. But now instead of carrying around, you know, that $50 bill, you carry around that one prepaid card, and you can spend it, you know, on whatever you'd like. Approval process, how to get it, how to come not come in contact, but come to acquiring one of the cards. A debit card, you would need to have a checking account. You may have a savings account with a credit union or a bank, and that's great, but you're not going to get a debit card. Most places will not give you even an ATM card. Back in the day, we had an ATM card that the only thing you used it for was going, you know, in the ATM. Whereas nowadays, your debit card also acts as an ATM card. So if you only have a savings account, a lot of times you don't get any sort of ATM card, and it's really hard to access your money. So you need to apply and be approved for a checking account. Excuse me, I got to choose my words carefully. A checking account, which those requirements differ by financial institution. As a general rule, 15, 16 years old, you know, have an understanding of what you're getting into. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to show income, but we want to see, you know, maybe if you've had any accounts before that. Credit card, that is, you have to apply every time. You do not just get handed a credit card. You do not automatically get a credit card when you're 18. You need to look for one, comparison shop, apply for the one that fits you best. And that Where does that decision come from? Where does that denial or approval come from? Your credit score, your past credit. And that's something we're going to talk a lot about, which is basically your reputation, your financial reputation. And the approval process for a prepaid debit is you really don't need one. So, well, what's the purpose? If I could buy something for $50 in cash, why would I bother to go put $50 on a prepaid debit card? Well, that's one reason. It doesn't have an approval process. If I am denied for a credit card and, I'm denied for a debit card, I would say pretty much anybody can get a savings account, but not everybody automatically gets a checking account. I had a friend who I brought in and was expecting to open a checking account, and they said he had a negative balance at a bank, that he had previously been at. So they were not going to open an account for him other than just a savings account, which I was surprised to hear that, but that totally makes sense, right? So what if he has to pay an online bill? What if he doesn't want to carry around all of his cash with him? Well, then kind of prepaying that money onto one card may serve some purpose, may be beneficial in that specific case. Basic fees, checking accounts generally will be free. You'll hear totally free checking or fee-free checking, and most of the time you will be able to get by without paying any fees. There shouldn't be a fee just to have the debit card. Sometimes there are monthly maintenance fees. I know Chase just recently came out with a change of policy where it's like a $13 or $15 monthly maintenance fee if you don't have, above a certain amount, or if you don't have a certain amount of direct deposit, that's going into your account. So there's prerequisites, there's requirements that will cancel out the fees. So as long as you have direct deposit of more than $500, great, we'll waive the fees. As long as you know what free ATMs to go to, you won't pay ATM fees. As long as you don't go into the negative and get an overdraft fee, you won't be paying any fees. So your debit card could be fee-less, but again, it has potential for fees with some irresponsible use. Credit cards, it says here most credit cards charge an annual fee. I would disagree with that, and especially for the first credit card, or we're looking at, you're 18 and getting a credit card, you're 16, 17, looking into, the concept of credit and what kind of credit card should I get. Take a card that has an annual fee out of the equation, right? They have a purpose, paying $250 a year and 5% of all of your purchases earn airline miles, and then at the end of the year, you maybe have enough miles to go on a trip to Hawaii. But the likelihood that you as a young person, and I say young person even throughout your 20s, are spending enough money on the credit card where 5% of it is still this large amount. I mean, that's what they kind of make you feel. Oh, you'll get cash back at the end of the year, but you have to spend money to get a tiny bit of that money back, and you have to pay an annual fee for the privilege of being able to earn those rewards. So once you have this credit, bill pay, excuse me, positive reputation established, absolutely, you can go look at, some rewards cards, or, what types of rewards may work specifically for you. But until then, I would not get any credit card that charged an annual fee. So use that as a no. Any credit card is going to have a late payment fee. I'm not sure why that wouldn't be in here. Sometimes there's a going over, maxing out your credit card, or trying to purchase something over the limit may give a fee. Maybe a non-payment after a certain number of days may give an extra fee. So you certainly want to know. Oh, additional fees. See, it went over all the stuff here. Overdraft fees, monthly transactions, ATM fees, right? So these can certainly add up. I mean, especially overdraft fees can really add up. And that was another big announcement recently that Bank of America shared, that they were lowering their overdraft fees from like $35 down to $10, which is huge. That's a really big deal. We're thinking, okay, well, that's great. They're being really nice. They want us to pay less. It's a good service. But on the other hand, if you are like, oh, phew, it's only $10 now instead of $35, you may be more likely to go into the negative. You may not think of it as bad. So it may happen more often. Again, late or missed payments, cash advance fees. That's what I mentioned earlier, that if you're in need of cash, you're in desperate need of cash for, again, these days, you can pretty much pay for everything with debit, credit, even at the farmer's market or, the food truck usually take a debit card or credit card. But let's say, you need to have cash. You could put, a credit card in and pull some cash off of your limit, what you have. You'd have to have established a separate PIN number. It usually is a very high fee. There's a different interest rate sometimes for that amount of money that you borrowed. It's a higher interest rate. So again, we're going to take that completely out of the equation. What's the cash advance fee? Don't worry about it. You don't need to put your credit card ever into an ATM, so don't worry about it. And prepaid debit cards, again, it depends how you use them. If it's a one-time, it's a gift, it's a Visa card, congratulations, you won the raffle, here's a $50 Visa card. You spend that $50, it's done. That card is useless. It looks like a cool credit card, but there's no money on it. It's completely useless. A lot of them are one-time use only. They are not reloadable. Now, if someone, like I mentioned earlier, was really trying to put maybe even $1,000 on this prepaid credit card because they want to, go online and pay for bills, and put in a debit card number so they can pay for bills. They need to be able to access cash there could be a lot of reasons. They would not want to necessarily go get another $50 card and another $50 card or another $100 card. It's really inconvenient. So if you are in a situation where you weren't ineligible for a credit card or even a debit card, and you wanted to keep your money, in one safe place on a prepaid debit, there may still be ATM fees, potentially like a point of sale fee, reloading fees. Maybe if you are allowed to add more money, there's a fee for even doing that. So we definitely want to look into, all of those. Credit score, as I mentioned last time, or with the debit cards, debit is your money. Your money is your money. Credit card is borrowed money. Borrowed money is not your money. Credit is borrowed money. So your debit card has no impact on your credit score. Not if you have $1,000 in your checking or $15,000 in your checking. Even if you go into the negative, it doesn't show up on your credit score. Your savings account does not show up, doesn't have anything to do with it. A prepaid debit has nothing to do with it. The only impact that can have on a credit score is your credit behavior. So your credit card use, whether you pay on time, whether you pay in full, whether you purchase a little bit or you purchase a lot, that information gets stored and is built up to kind of paint a picture of you as a consumer. Rewards, again, it has some debit cards offer rewards programs. Not often. I wouldn't hold my breath seeking out a debit card with rewards. Usually, if that were the case, it would you'd want to read the fine print. it would say you need to make a certain amount, $500 worth of purchases in a month, or 6 debit purchases within a week. So certainly, if you run into rewards, ask those questions, read that fine print. How do I get them? What do I have to do? Because if you're required to spend more money, then it's kind of acting like a credit card. And credit cards, again, there's a lot of different types of rewards, cash back, discounts on Amazon and stores and restaurants, travel, airlines, Disney card. There's almost a card for everything these days. But what is beneficial for you? I mean, before COVID, I was driving to schools every day, different schools all the time, and my gas was astronomical. A gas card where I could earn credit that I could then use on gas may have been worth looking into. I would have liked to do that. But if I had to pay an annual fee, I don't know. It depends on how much it is. I'd have to look at what it took, to earn that much rewards as the annual fee is. So if you're offered rewards, that's great. But again, ask questions, fine print. You don't want anyone to kind of get one over on you. You don't want to see something shiny. Ooh, 10% back, great. And then that's really all you see. Some prepaid offer rewards. Again, I haven't seen that. I don't know how you could really offer rewards, unless it was, when you reload it, you may get, some discounts. But that would be depending on the card itself. Protection. Your debit card, again, connected to your checking account. If it is lost, if it's stolen, if it's hacked, and someone uses your card, whether they type the numbers in online or whether they actually, swipe it at a register, those purchases go through. Hopefully you notice it right away, or you're notified, you report it. There's an investigation, and hopefully in the end, that money or that amount, gets reimbursed back to you. So you have that protection. And I've had that happen a couple times. I've had a couple times where, there were I did not make those purchases, and I got all the money back, and it went very smoothly. But, what if it didn't go so smoothly? What if it was like thousands of dollars potentially that someone had taken? Luckily, it wasn't, too large of an amount. So some people like to use a credit card when they go out, or when they buy online, simply because it's not connected to a direct amount of money, a tangible amount of money. It's a loan. So whether someone hacks it, steals it, uses the number, they're building up a debt. They're building up a loan that you are, supposedly liable for, that now once you notice, you report, they investigate, they say, we understand you purchased gas the morning of January 18th, and there was a McDonald's purchase in California, a couple hours later. There's no way you could have been, in California then, so we agree these are fraudulent purposes, and we'll remove it from your debt. They're not reimbursing you for anything because you haven't paid anything yet. It's just kind of hanging there as something you owe. And then once they agree, okay, yep, you're not at fault, it's just taken away. So it's taken off like it didn't exist. So unfortunately, what if that investigation takes longer? What if you end up, having to start paying interest on this amount? There's regulations. You really want to get any sort of ID theft or fraud taken care of ASAP. And prepaid debit cards, it depends. If it's a one-time card, then pretty much definitely. If you lose it, it's gone. Somebody can pick it up off the ground and use that number. It's not really connected to your name. There's no way to really see who that belongs to. And unless you just find it, you can't turn it off. If you have a reloadable prepaid debit card that, you use the same card and, instead of your money being deposited into a, checking account, maybe you can get your paycheck deposited onto, a prepaid debit card. Well, maybe that is protected. Maybe if you notice that's fraudulent, you can cancel it or put a, call and put a fraud alert on it right away. Again, depends. You want to ask. You got to make sure. Making the most of your cards, staying organized. It seems simple, but again, you've got your monthly statements of the things you purchased that are already spent, and you've got your bills of things that you either have already paid, already purchased these items, or bills for upcoming month of rent or upcoming, month of cable. You do not want to have missed payment fees, because it really adds up once you start having to pay electricity and, maybe water, and then you have a Sirius and, Netflix, and there's just all these reoccurring expenses that if the money is not there or if you don't send it in on time, a lot of late fees that rack up. Track your balances. Track your purchases on your debit card through your mobile app. Your credit card, again, same thing. You should be able to log on to online banking, look really quickly. Did I make all these purchases? Is that the amount, I paid last month? Does anything look strange? And especially understand the fees. None of these cards are just automatically going to be completely free. They may end up being free for you. All three of them have the potential to be free and have no cost for you. But it's not automatic. You have to know the system, know the purpose, know what to do and what not to do. So before you get the credit card, before you get, load your money onto a prepaid credit card, understand what are the fees. What if I report fraud and want to stop the card, is there a fee for that? You don't want to find out later that, oh, well, I wasn't supposed to do that. So certainly don't be afraid to ask questions. And understand the features. Do you know that you can turn off, your prepaid debit card? Do you know that you can turn off your debit card? MSGCU has an option, card controls, on our mobile app, where if it's the middle of the night and you can't call the call system until the morning, you can go onto the mobile app and say, turn my card off. I think it was taken from my wallet and I don't even want someone to be able to use it, so I'm turning it off. What are the things that the cards have? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited about the next time. But yeah, how can they help you, right? They're meant to help you. Credit card you choose for a reason because it has a purpose and it's supposed to help you in some way. Why do you have this debit card? Because it's beneficial, because it provides protection, it provides convenience. So you really want to find out everything you can get out of them. Now, this presentation focused on the three different types of cards. I usually, when I go out, really just talk about debit cards and credit cards. And I really like to talk about them separately. So I just wanted to go over a few review slides here. What is true only of debit cards? May ask for your PIN at the time of payment. If you're putting in your PIN, it's definitely a debit card. If it asks for your PIN, it's definitely a debit card. That will not happen. You will not put in a PIN if you're using a credit card. Allows you to get cash back at the register. That is a feature only of debit cards. That, I forgot I want to get $20 to pay my friend. Oh, I want to get $60 because I'm going on a road trip and I want to have cash to pay tolls. Whatever the reason. only the debit card will allow you that cash back. Funds are taken directly from your checking account. The debit card is the only card directly linked to your checking account. And your balance in that account decreases, gets lower and lower after each purchase you make, after, each time you use the debit card. You could potentially go negative because it's how much money you have, right? If you spend more than you have negative money. You need to put that back. There'll be a fee for that. You can recover from that, but there's the potential, and understand that, there is a potential to go into the negative. And what is it? And it would be an overdraft fee. But again, different financial institutions do it differently. You may have a student card that doesn't go into the negative, or you may have, a youth program card that lets you have, one free overdraft a month. It depends. You want to find out, but imagine you'll be paying a lot of money. So PIN number, cash back, your checking account, overdraft, those words only deal with debit cards. What is true when we're talking about only credit cards? Allows you to pay for purchase over time. Again, that's not an option with debit cards. Even if you choose that credit option and it shows up on your transaction history as it's pending, it's still spent. It's still spent. There's no length of time that you had to pay that off. Imagine that money's gone. They require a payment. You won't hear the word payment with a debit card. It's your money. You're purchasing things, but there's nothing you're making a payment towards. Interest rate, annual fee, late payment. Again, that payment, minimum payment. Those words aren't associated with a debit card. There's no interest rate, good or bad. There's no interest rate. There's no late payment or minimum payment because there's no payment. So those words, that's all associated with credit cards. Does charge an interest rate, may charge an annual fee. It will charge a late payment fee, but again, how much? Is it $50? Is it $20? And only the credit card will help establish and help you build credit history. Because what is credit history? It's your past borrowing and repaying behavior. So what is a credit card? It's a tool to borrow and repay. You're taking these little 30-day loans, 30 days at a time, which a debit card, since you're spending your own money and it's not borrowed, does not help you build a credit history. And unfortunately, some people think because it looks like a credit card, they are building history. Or when they choose the credit option, and just sign their name instead of putting in the PIN, they're getting credit for credit history. It's a debit card, you are not. Only credit cards contribute towards your credit. But what do they have in common? They're not completely different. Think about what are some things they do have in common. Well, purchase items with both of them. You can probably use either one at most stores. They're accepted most all places. Like I said, even places you wouldn't expect. A booth at a fair, they've got the little square on their phone and you can still pay with a debit or credit card. Both susceptible to ID theft. Do not think one or the other is free of it. They can both. You have to prepare for identity theft, scam, watch out for it for both your debit and your credit card. Both of them you can make purchases online. Both can be in your mobile wallet. Your mobile wallet is literally it's kind of your wallet. Your phone is your wallet, where it's storing as many cards kind of as you want. I put my debit card in there. I put my Kohl's card in there. And then if I don't actually have that card, I can just use my phone and use the mobile wallet, the Apple Pay, to to pay, and I don't have to actually have that card with me, which sometimes is convenient because, maybe you don't always have pockets. They both should be researched before signing up. They both impact your financial future. They both can be very beneficial or can, kind of be detrimental. Why do you have this debit account? Why do you have this checking account? Why do you have this credit card? You can have it, but understand why. What's the purpose and what are you getting out of it? So please research, comparison shop. You comparison shop everything else. And both cards offer a convenient method to pay if you don't have cash. Depending on your financial situation, it may not matter to you whether you pull out your debit card or you pull out your credit card, because you understand that, I have enough money that I know I'll be able to pay this off. And I know there's no way I'm going into overdraft. For now, when we're just getting started managing a checking account, getting our first credit cards, using them, simultaneously, focus on using your debit card. Your credit card is a source for emergency. It's a source to get you out of a jam because you're just starting to, again, build that good reputation in small chunks early on to help you get ahead of the curve. I also have a handout, back over here, a handout that I think it goes over what the slides were in a nice kind of organized fashion. What are some pros and cons? Getting a debit card, super affordable, it's easy. There's no payments. There's no mail you have to look out for. So I will send this handout along as a resource. Were there any other questions? Anything, Ms. Cureton, you'd like covered or before?
You guys, if you have any questions, type in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you. I think you did a good job though. The video was just so adorable, but it was so spot on because it actually gave you a true example of the difference between the three mediums of purchasing. It made things so simplistic.
Right. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. That yeah, there's benefits for travel. There's certainly a credit card is safer in that way of security for travel. If you have your debit card, maybe just put it in your mobile wallet. So there's definitely beneficial cards to use in different purposes. So
So you guys, you got no questions?
Now, I believe I mentioned scholarships last time. Did I send you these handouts on scholarships?
You did, and I posted them on our platforms.
Okay. I noticed this is applied by March 1st, and I couldn't remember what the deadline date was. So I wanted to pull them up as a reminder and that it was March 1st.
Yeah. Excellent. Again, excellent opportunities. I've been sharing with the students that most of them feel like, I don't know, scholarships are like the lottery or something or Vegas. But I was telling them you can't win if you don't apply. And you would be surprised how many students think like you and therefore don't apply. And so the foundation they wind up not being able to give away the funding because none of you applied, So yeah, I've been really drilling that home for them.
And I'll tell you, our William K. and Skilled Trade, it's a new scholarship. This is only, I think, the third year we're offering it, and we get very few applications. We get a lot of people that start filling it out, but don't complete the process. So
Wow.
you've got really good chances.
really, because again, college is so incredibly expensive. And a lot of students don't really realize that. They really don't. They think, they're so excited about going that they don't even take in consideration, okay, well, who's going to pay for this? It's education. They just went through 12 years of school for free. So now they're not really making a connection that, you know, there's a game
Yeah,
changer.
another hard realization is
Yeah,
that a lot of these scholarships are one time. They're not every year. You may be lucky enough to get $1,000 a year, but these are just that freshman year. So when it comes time sophomore
absolutely.
year, you don't get the same ones.
Absolutely. And that's why they should apply and apply often, as much as they can, so that they can minimize the cost of education. They're just trying to, better themselves and create a career and a solid foundation for themselves and their family. And they should not have to do this by going into debt. So you guys, no questions, huh? All right. Well, then, with that being said, if there aren't any questions or comments, we will bring this to a close. Thank you so much,
Thank
Colleen,
you
for
so much.
joining us. Oh my God, it's so awesome. The information is priceless. I will look forward to seeing you again on Friday, where we will talk about credit scores and understanding credit scores. Again, valuable information, because I learned the hard way that, you have to maintain and put forth genuine effort. Don't send your bills in late, thinking that there is no consequence to it, because it does. It affects you. But if no one told you that it actually matters and what it actually affects, then you just, oh yeah, So thank you guys again for joining. Thank you so much, Colleen, and we will see you all Friday. And everybody have a great rest of the week. Bye,
Have a
you
great
guys.
week. Bye, guys.